I still haven't had any gin.
Careful of my lipstick. I decided to have more gin because Hannah was the one that said gin is a sad drink. And now I'm sad.
Oh. So episode 5.
The Altar of the Dead.
Yeah, it was sort of, oof.
Yeah.
It was sort of like kind of a cross between the Bent Neck Lady episode and the like Two Storms episode.
Well, I was going to also say the finale of Watchmen. Because Dr. Manhattan kept going like back and forth and like in and out of like the conversations with her and the past. And he said that line that I like always remember where he said, I'm in every moment that we spent together all at once. And it's just like so nice.
I don't really know how to go about explaining that one other than to say that.
Yeah.
Did you have a?
Well, it's a tough episode to try to explain without saying the thing immediately.
Well, we can.
Yeah.
I mean, these are spoiler. If you're new, this is what we do. We just talk about it. It's between a review and a recap.
Yeah.
But it was sort of Hannah's, but it was her backstory, but we learned next to nothing about her other than there was someone named Sam.
I suspect he's her husband who ran away with like a younger woman, essentially.
But the entire episode was from, they're doing something with the show that I think is really interesting. And I think so far every episode has picked up exactly where the previous one left off.
At least close to it. Yeah. So it makes it feel very linear. We're like, you know, we have spanned like 3 or 4 years.
You have some nerve using the word linear to describe this episode.
Well, of course. But if you're thinking it like from the beginning of the series until now, it's been like a week, maybe. But we have seen, you know, like scenes and events that have spanned like 4 years. So it is really cool in that sense.
So they are very much, at the very least, Hannah, if not more of them, are caught in some form of time loop.
So it's like the most recent season of American Horror Story. If they die on the property, they're there forever.
Yeah, well, that was Murder House too, but
well, sure, but so that is the thing of this episode is Hannah is dead and
presumably died the minute we met her.
Yeah, freshly dead the moment that she met Dan, like the moment before she met Danny. Because another thing I was correct about is that Peter is in Miles.
But only sometimes.
He can take him over, essentially, because Peter was killed in the house by the lady in white, the doll that lives under the dresser. And so he's stuck there forever, too. But he's able to, like, take over Miles when his, like, ghost touches him or whatever. And so Peter in Miles pushed Hannah down the well, and she extremely died.
Yeah, and that's what the crack that she keeps seeing everywhere.
Like in the wall
it was like
of the well.
Last thing that she saw.
Yeah.
Like as she was dying, I suppose. It
horrible.
Was hard.
Especially because she's such a lovely presence and she's so nice and all she wants is to do a good job caring for this house.
Well, you were talking about how comforting and it's very true. Yeah. And she has her and Owen have such a unique chemistry because it's definitely romantic, but it's not quite like what Peter and Rebecca have is like sexual chemistry.
Yeah.
And it's not quite that.
It's it's the sort of thing where it's like to sort of twist on something else from the show. It's like the type of thing where you end up married to your best friend after both of your, you know, passionate loves have given way and you just want someone to be there with you. And it's like a way different type of love, but it's a lot of times more like encompassing and comforting.
And so the bulk of the episode was just sort of Hannah running through scenarios throughout the past few years. Yeah,
that she had either experienced or that she like...
A couple she didn't, though.
A couple she didn't. And I think what was happening is like... This was her coming to grips with the fact that she's dead also. Because like I think she hadn't totally accepted or known it yet.
She hadn't run... all the way, run the
gamut all the way
or
through.
the consequences. well, I keep on saying like computations or something. Like she
sure.
hadn't run the equation all the way through to the end. I was very, very interested by the notion that like Owen and Rebecca would be in it with her, but then within it, Owen said something about how like I'm you, and so I was like, oh, which adds to the feeling, I guess, because at first we were sort of like, well, at least she's not in this alone, and then by the end, she's like trying to get them to wait for her, and by that point, it's already a memory.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I sort of feel like she started the episode in the real scene, and then by the time that we saw that last scene, she was remembering it.
Yeah,
because she couldn't. Undo it, I suppose.
She also was interacting with him differently because the first time she just was like, I can't go to Paris with you, like blah, blah, whatever. And this time she was like, desperately wants to go to Paris with him. And she was like, I'll do it. I'll come with you. Wait. And then, but it was already cycling through the correct way.
It's so dreadful. And
dreadful is the perfect word for it because it's also just a tragedy. It's like a horrible tragedy.
Because it really, I think I am going to end up liking this one a lot.
Me too.
And I'm glad that it is different. And I think that there was a reason why I brought up the skeleton key, even though this isn't exactly that, because it's like, only in deciding that she's ready to leave this situation does she understand that she's trapped in it. That
she can't ever leave. Yeah. It's also, so I haven't watched the movie yet. I'm thinking of ending things, but I read the book and it has vibes from that too, because there are many moments in the book where like it's from the point of view of the girlfriend of this man. And she just keeps thinking, sort of having deja vu and being like, why is this happening again? We already did this kind of thing like this. Or why does this feel like we've done it before? Why do I feel like I know this person, even though I've never been here before? And that it was giving me vibes of that too, because she is very clearly, at first I thought she was like time traveling, like legitimately time traveling. And I was like, that's a weird twist that like maybe Hannah's like some kind of weird medium and she's like able to like see all the stuff. But it was really, I think, poignant the way she was going back to these important moments and like seeing them from a different point of view in certain instances and being able to witness these private moments that like really inform a lot of what's happening now. I loved this episode like so much.
Because it also makes me wonder if there is in fact something wrong with Peter. Because remember, Rebecca, she was like going to give him a second chance, which, I mean, Oliver Jackson-Cohen has earned a second chance.
He's got the teeth of an evil man.
Fool me 6 times. Yeah. Shame on me.
Fool me with
7 or more.
Fool me 6 times with your Scottish brogue. Like,
I love how beautiful it is because it is absolutely spooky.
Yeah.
It's not scary, but it's like, and I mean, that's not to say that there aren't scary moments, but it's like.
But if you remember back to when we watched Hill House, it was
I thought Hill House was scary.
Well, yes, it was scary, but it wasn't the scary parts that made us love it. It was the dreadful parts where you're watching the inevitable thing that you already know happen, and you can't do anything to stop it. And you're like, all I want to do is stop this thing.
And the thing with Hill House was that there was quite literally monsters around every corner, where with this, we have 1 or 2 and they rear their head. But for the most part, these people are just existing in this house.
Yeah.
And it's like the flashbacks to the whatever wing it is, East or West Wing.
Yeah.
It like, because in modern day, it's so terrible looking. Like it's so scary.
Yeah.
And then the flashbacks to it furnished and the red. It was just so, I don't know. And have you noticed that like they keep using a particular time of day? It's always like kind of a low winter sun.
Sure. Yeah.
The shadows are always really long.
Yeah.
Like there's, I don't
even
think
outside.
Yeah. I don't think we've seen high noon.
No,
and
I don't think
it
so.
feels.
I would say the closest we got was when Danny arrived.
Yeah. And it feels deliberate. I mean, a show like this is very.
Yeah, definitely.
So
I also really into Hannah's aesthetic.
Oh my God, all of her.
Kind of want to start dressing that way. Might adopt this fashion sense. Very good. The tweed plaid skirts and she's wearing button ups, but like that also have a placket on top so you don't see the buttons, and then they button all the way up here. I'm into it. And all the jewel tones, unbelievable. Love it.
So we do have the Lady in the Lake. You said that you have an idea of who it might be, but you think that's for spoiler reasons. So I'm going to fly blind at this point. But it's like, I mean, I feel like the obvious idea would be that it's their mother. But given the jumping around in time thing, I don't know if that's possible or how that would work.
Yeah, I think that could still be an option. But again, I don't get the feeling that their mother is like a malignant presence. Like they seem very sad that she's dead, and we saw her a decent amount in this episode because she and Hannah were friends, and it doesn't feel like
they're almost inconsequential in a weird way.
And that's the other thing too, is like it's sad that they're dead, but they died far away according to Flora, and that Charlotte just doesn't seem like a malign presence. I don't believe it's her. It could be, but I think something really really hard would have to happen.
Well, I also wonder if it's like an old spirit.
Well, there are graves on this property from like the 1600s.
That feels like it would not be emotionally, or that feels like it wouldn't be a rewarding reveal. But I wonder if also maybe if they had like a governess before.
Well, I think it depends, because remember we weren't sure about the flapper in Hill House, and then she totally ended up earning her keep.
Sure. I do find it interesting that the Lady in the Lake does this weird sweep of the house.
But only sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know. However, I don't know if it's weekly, monthly, you know, what have you. But
it seems she seems to be doing it more since Danny arrived.
And she came around and I don't know if she targeted Peter or if he just was caught in her Roomba track. But
that's hilarious to just imagine whoever's in her way.
The kids know, though, this is not their first rodeo. So
the fact that the kids know, I think, is probably the creepiest part about it to me. That the fact that they're like, go inside, the Roomba's coming. Like, it's not like DJ Roomba. What would you call her?
And we
Ghosty Roomba, Roomba Ghosty. I'm not as clever as the writers of Parks and Rec.
No, and so we still don't know who or what is in the attic that Flora shushed.
Yes, yeah, we don't know that.
So,
but it was fucking creepy.
It was very poignant, and it was very sort of like. It's a very showy show. It's not a very talky show.
Which like, I love. Yeah. I mean, like, because they do talk about enough stuff, but the dialogue is almost, because of all the repetitions and the things that they're like perfectly splendid, the dialogue is almost a little bit childish to a point.
But I also think that might have something to do with
I do agree. Yeah, I agree too. But they also do get into deep places with Owen, which we need to shout out Rahul Kohli again, because holy crap, is he getting some monologues that he is nailing. And I'm like so impressed. That's the scene that they kept coming back to with the two of them at his like job interview, where she just kept going, oh my God, again. And he was like, yeah, apparently. Yeah. And it was just like, because I watched a lot of iZombie, and he's really good at comedy, because that's like mainly a comedy show, but like getting to see him doing this drama too, and having them work off each other, who are like two actors I've never seen her in anything before, and I've only seen him in iZombie, and seeing them in something so different from what I've seen before, and having them be able to play off each other that way is very satisfying to watch.
Well, and like what I meant was just the whole, we're new to film.
I know, this is really bad.
We're still getting used to some things.
If you're just listening,
you're just tuning in,
we are sorry if you're hearing a lot of like nudging and electrical noises. We keep bumping our mics.
But I was just gonna really like sum it up and be like, she didn't have this like, oh, I get it, I died, and therefore I'm going through this loop of blah blah blah. Like the show just really trusts you to just sort of be with the character.
Well, it was also sadder than that, and that's what I think makes it such a tragedy, is that because
she almost couldn't even articulate it.
At the end, all she's doing is saying, I'm Hannah Grose. She's just saying her name over and over and over again, and telling herself the year and like how old Miles and Flora are, just to try to like be in the moment that she's supposed to be in. And it's just a tragedy, straight up tragedy. But I loved it. I think this was my favorite episode of the season so far.
I did want to say, because they were talking about dementia early on, that I wonder if that has anything to do with
Well, so for a minute, because I said for a minute I thought maybe time travel, and then I also sort of thought that Hannah might also have dementia, and I was like, don't make Owen go through this again.
Well, it's like an illustration of what it could be like. So yeah. Okay.
A+.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to do episode 6.